Here is a brief news report from the CBC television newsroom. We have a late report that the second spacewalk by the astronauts has been advanced, likely to take place sometime during the next hour. We'll have special reports as warranted and a full report at halftime during the football game. The spacewalk was advanced on the request of astronauts Charles Conrad and Alan Bean, who awoke, eager to proceed with their mission. To repeat, a late report that the second spacewalk by the astronauts has been advanced, likely to take place sometime during the next hour. CBC will have special reports as warranted and a full report at halftime during the football game. And this spacewalk was advanced on the request of astronauts Charles Conrad and Alan Bean, who awoke eager to proceed with their mission. Earlier today, the pair enthusiastically completed a 4-hour walk. The latest walk includes a perilous descent into a crater and will eventually link up with the scene of the first moon landing.
A CBC color presentation.
Canadian professional football. This portion brought to you by
Canadian Pacific. Serving you in so many ways.
There are thousands of football fans in the city of Calgary tonight who feel their Stampeders can come back and beat Saskatchewan. There's an air of confidence everywhere. About 22,000 of these fans are here in McMahon Stadium, and you'll hear plenty of them as the game goes on. However, the odds makers are not being swayed. Saskatchewan is favored to win the Western title tonight. I'm Ernie Afghaniz, welcoming you to what should be a very hectic and entertaining game. And our analyst, of course, in the Western telecast, Frank Rigney, the former all-star offensive tackle with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Frank, Calgary played such a great game in that opener of this Western final and still lost. Can they play better? At least they'll have to, I suppose.
Well, offensively, Ernie, certainly I think there's room for improvement in their ground game, but I don't see how Jerry Keeling can be much more successful in throwing that football than he was. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights of this first game, and a good example of Jerry Keeling's success is on this first play early in the first quarter. He connects for a 40-yard reception to Terry Evanson. This led to Larry Robinson's field goal and gave the Calgary Stampeders an early 3-0 lead. This is Robinson's field goal here that gave Calgary that 3-0 lead. A little later in the game, Keeling again rolls out and tries to hit Jerry Shaw on a very deep throw, but it's intercepted by Larry DeGraw of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and brought back deep into the Stamps territory. The Calgary defense then held Saskatchewan, but Jack Evanson, the WFC scoring champion for 1969, tied the game up at 3-all. That was a score at the end of the first quarter. A second interception on Jerry Keeling, this time by number 24, Bob Cossett, produced rather a controversial call. Watch it yourself here as Jerry Shaw and Cossett collide. Cossett, however, gets up and returns the ball about 61 yards and gives the Saskatchewan Roughriders excellent field position. Some great blocks there, particularly by Cloyd Brock, the big offensive tackle of Saskatchewan. Evanson had to settle for another field goal, however, and this gave Saskatchewan a 6-3 lead. After Saskatchewan picked up another three-pointer, number 20, Bob McCarthy, rambled for 36 yards on a pass and run play. And then Jerry Shaw took a short Keeling pass down to the 3-yard line. This was probably the key point in the game at that stage, Ernie, where the Saskatchewan defense held the Calgary Stampeders on 3 successive tries from the 2-yard line. The last 2 attempts being from the 1-yard line, and Wally Dempsey particularly was very, very strong defensively for Saskatchewan. And of course, if you're going to move against the Saskatchewan ball club on the ground, Dempsey's one of the key people that you're going to have to get out of there.
We're looking at Keeling's record in those playoff games. As you know, he has thrown for over 700 yards. Can he continue at that pace in this game?
Well, Keeling, I think the reason for Keeling's success so far in the first 2 playoff games that he's been in, and as you say, 750 yards in the air is just a tremendous total. It'd be difficult to keep up with that, but he rolls out. He's a great threat as a runner, and he's very, very difficult for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to rush or anyone else. And I think that's the reason he's been so successful.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank Rigney, our analyst on these games. Now to Don Whitman, your play-by-play commentator. And Don, there's a little bit of a change going on out there because of injuries. Tell us about it.
Well, 2 significant changes, Ernie, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They will not have Gord Barwell. He has had his shoulder operated on after suffering the injury in the first game of the year. And Saskatchewan could use 3 people in his position: Lance Fletcher, Al Rankin, or Alan Ford. And, of course, for the Calgary Stampeders, the big change is the fact that Wayne Harris is back at that middle linebacking position, replacing Craig Coinson. And I might point out, he did an excellent job in the first game at the middle linebacking spot. He'll be playing defensive end tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Don. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Calgary Stampeders are all set. And we'll be back with our national anthem and the opening kickoff right after this message.
They say, build a better mousetrap, and the world will beat a path to your door. But they're wrong. Because just building that better mousetrap isn't enough. You're going to have to beat a path to the world. The marketplace. But that's something your average better mousetrap builder may need a little help with. Expert help. The kind you get from CP Rail. We don't just move goods. We move them to the right place at the right time. We'll even design special equipment if it will help you get to that new market in Canada or beyond.
So you build your better mousetrap, or your better anything else. We're ready to help you beat a path to the marketplace.
CP Rail. Another way Canadian Pacific serves you.
Don Whitman with Frank Rigney and Ernie Afaganis at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Game 2 of the best-of-3 Western Final. Paul Dojak is the man in charge tonight. Don Barker is the line umpire. The back umpire is Abe Kovnatz. The head linesman is Tom Cheney, and the field judge is Sid Burkow. An ideal November evening as far as football is concerned, with the temperature 35 degrees. The wind is from the west-southwest from 10 to 15 miles per hour. And the Calgary Stampeders will be kicking off to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and they will have plenty of fan support tonight. In the neighborhood of 22,000 spectators are watching this game at McMahon Stadium. Alan Ford is back between the goalposts along with Bobby Thompson, and they will prepare for the kickoff as soon as the band that played our national anthem leaves the playing field. Larry Robinson will kick off for the Calgary Stampeders. The Stampeders must win tonight. They trail in the best-of-3 affair following a 17-11 loss in the series opener Saturday afternoon at Taylor Field in Regina. Larry Robinson, number 15, preparing to get this second of a best-of-3 Western final underway. Since the best-of-3 series was introduced in 1950, the team that lost the first game has come back to win the series 9 times. Calgary will attempt to make it 10. And the second game is underway. Alan Ford takes the kickoff. Ted Woods makes the tackle at the 34-yard line. That was a 60-yard kickoff with a 27-yard return. And Saskatchewan will scrimmage 1st and 10, the ball at their own 34. And there's an injured Saskatchewan player. It appears to be Ted Ernest, their outstanding center. And trainer Sandy Archer and equipment man Dale Laird come out to look after his injury.
Well, we've had a weather report that couldn't be, well, may look a little bleak as time goes on. Right now it's about 37 degrees here in the city of Calgary, a perfect night for football. But there is cold weather moving down from the north. There is a strong possibility that we will have very strong winds and cold weather in Calgary this evening. But the weatherman says if we're lucky, it'll hold off before the game is over.
Because of technical difficulties, we apologize for the loss of picture. However, this is the first offensive play of the game. Saskatchewan 1st and 10 from the 34. Lancaster fumbles the ball. George Reed has a first down at the 46. And Frank, when you can get away with things like that, you've got the game going for you.
Well, of course, Ron Lancaster, known as a scrambler, gets away with quite a bit. That's a very unusual play. Lancaster simply tried to put the ball on his hip on a bootleg action. However, he recovered in time to throw that fine reception to George Reed, who moves the ball up to the 48-yard line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Back to the live action. It's 1st and 10 from the 48 for Saskatchewan. Lancaster, the quarterback, number 23. Two successive first downs for George Reed. One passing, one running.
And just a great block by big number 67, Clyde Brock, who's 6'6", 280 pounds. He's working against John Helton, the 6'3", 255-pound defensive end of the Calgary Stampeders. If he can handle him that well, Reed's going to have an awfully big night running that football.
At the 48 of Calgary, it's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. Bobby Thompson, number 26, the intended receiver. Gene Beard did an excellent job of defending on him on the touchdown attempt by Ron Lancaster. Steve Molnar is in that Saskatchewan backfield at the halfback position with Alan Ford, replacing Gord Barwell as split end. It's 2nd and 10 from the 48 of Calgary. No score in the football game. We've played just under 2 minutes. The screen pass to Reed nets 2 yards. It will be 3rd and 8.
You can be sure that the Calgary Stampeders are going to be looking for that play after George Reed's 61-yard effort in the first game of the final series on the identical play, the screen to the right side.
Number 17, Rudy Linderman, 28, Jim Cilia, the punt return pair for Calgary. Alan Ford stands at the 50. Linderman is tackled at the 10-yard line. A 36-yard kick, no return. And the Calgary Stampeders will put the ball into play. Let's set Calgary offensively. The center is Ron Capham. Billy Roy and Bob Luke are the guards. Lanny Bolesky and Roger Kramer the tackles. Terry Evanson and Herm Harrison are the ends. Jerry Keeling is the quarterback. He'll be working with Rudy Linderman, Bob McCarthy, Ted Woods, and Jerry Shaw. 1st and 10 from their own 10. The ground game, ineffective in the first game, does not get away to a good start as Linderman is dropped for a loss of 4 by Wayne Shaw. It's 2nd and 14. Rudy Linderman on the draw play gets back to the line of scrimmage. Ed McQuarters made the tackle.
And watch Ed McQuarters here, number 61, as he was working against Bob Luke, considered by the Calgary Stampeders the best offensive lineman they have, but McQuarters handles him rather easily there to stop that draw play and Rudy Linderman.
And so the Stampeders will be kicking. Jim Furlong will enjoy the benefit of a west-southwest wind at 15 miles per hour. Larry DeGraw fields it at the 50. He's tackled at the 53 by Dave Kraft. Kraft, number 21. And number 15 for the green and white Saskatchewan Roughriders is Larry DeGraw. If you're enjoying this telecast in color, you're aware of the differences in attire of the two teams. The green and whites of Saskatchewan, the red and white of Calgary, most apparent on your home receiver. George Reed was tackled by Craig Coinzan, a gain of 5 yards, and it appears as though they plan on working their outstanding fullback quite a bit in this ball game. Saskatchewan has Tederness at center. Avonshan and Brandt are the guards. Galloway and Brock are the tackles. Warden and Molnar are the ends, although Molnar drops back from time to time to the backfield with Ford moving up to that end position. Gene Beard drove Alan Ford into touch, very close to a first down. There's a timeout on the field with 11 minutes to play in the first quarter. The score, Saskatchewan nothing, Calgary nothing.
Today, the sky above your head is the busiest highway in the world. That's right. Because today, businesses need telecommunications messages to get things done fast. They may use telex or teletype, the simplest systems. Or broadband, the best way to move data between computers. Either way, we send hundreds of business messages at once. But we also bring you things to relax with, maybe even the program you're watching now. It's a complex job, but we'll control it with our own computer. And tomorrow, we may use satellites or laser beam to make telecommunications even better. CP Telecommunications, another way Canadian Pacific serves you.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders have a first down at the 41 of the Calgary Stampeders. George Reed off to a terrific start in tonight's game, tackled by Craig Coinzan. It's another Saskatchewan first down.
And again, we saw Clyde Brock, number 67, the big offensive tackle, handle John Helton, just straight ahead blocking on that play, and Reed is on 2 successive tries picked up first down.
From the 29, it's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. Reed again. Down to the 20, where Wayne Harris made the tackle, a gain of 9. Tenderness, the Saskatchewan center, Jack Abendsen and Brandt the guards, Galloway and Brock are the tackles, Warden and Molnar the end. It'll be close to the first down with Reed again carrying and Helton making the tackle. So it's a big third down gamble for Saskatchewan. And George Reed appears to have it. Gene Beard, number 19, made the tackle, but a little too late.
So far in the ball game, George Reed has carried 6 times for a total of 46 yards. He's starting early and well.
At the 17, it's 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. 8 minutes and 20 seconds remain in the first quarter. Reed is down to the 15. Granny Liggins pulled his feet out from under him.
Let's take a look at George Reed, the leading rusher in the CFL, 1969. The big fullback that time picks up only 3 yards, but is already up to 50 yards total rushing in this ball game.
2nd and a long 7 for Saskatchewan. Incomplete. It was intended for Alan Ford, defended by Gene Beard. And with a third down play upcoming, it will probably mean a field goal attempt by Jack Abendsen.
Abendsen, by the way, kicked 3 field goals in the opening game of this best of 3 series. 29 yards, 22 yards, and 32. Accounted for 11 of the 17 Saskatchewan points in the first game.
And it's good. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders are first to hit the scoreboard. They lead the Calgary Stampeders 3-0. Again, we offer our apologies for some transmission problems at the start of the ball game. However, we trust that the technical problems we encountered will not occur again throughout this telecast. From the 35, it's 1st and 10 for Calgary. What a great catch by Rudy Linneman. For a moment, it appeared as though Ted Dushinsky would make an interception.
It's a good example of Jerry Keeling throwing that ball on the run. Watch Bob Luke as he picks off Ed McQuarters to enable Jerry Keeling to get that ball away, and a fine reception by Rudy Linneman.
It's a Calgary first down. The Stampeders operating from their own 47. With 6:31 remaining in the first quarter, it's 3-0 for Saskatchewan. Bob McCarthy proved to be quite a pass receiver in the opening game. He did not run the ball, but he has a gain of almost 8 yards in his first carry tonight.
Time to remind our viewers, Don, that we have a special national newscast at halftime.
McCarthy goes to the bench, and Calgary makes a backfield change with Jerry Watson, his substitute. A 2nd and 2 play at midfield. That Saskatchewan defense really came up tough on Rudy Linderman. I believe it was Ken Reed who made the contact on a 1-yard loss. DeGraw goes back along with Bob Cossett for the third down punt by Jim Furlong. Cossett takes it at the 5. And Saskatchewan will scrimmage the football 1st and 10, the ball at their own 19. Defensively, Calgary has Helton, Luzzy, Liggins, and Coinzan as the front four. Forzani, Harris, and Furlong are the linebackers. And Drewski, Wilson, Starks, Robinson, and Beard are the deep backs. Credit Reed with a gain of 3. It will be 2nd and 7. Joe Forzani made the stop at the 22.
We noticed too, Don, that Ted Ernest, the outstanding center of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, has not returned to the ball game since being hurt early in the first quarter. Gary Brandt, a starting offensive guard, is now playing center, and Cliff Shaw has taken Brandt's right guard position.
A penalty flag is down. The pass is kicked away by Howard Starks. It was aimed at Bob Thompson.
On isolated camera, we take a look at Bobby Thompson, the fellow that the Saskatchewan coaching staff feels gives them the big threat, as he's got the great speed. But Starks does a good job on defense there and knocks the ball down just prior to that reception, or attempted reception. I believe, however, there's a holding penalty on the Saskatchewan Roughriders, which is going to be declined as it creates a 3rd and 8 situation for Saskatchewan at their own 21-yard line.
Cilia and Linderman are back for Alan Ford's punt. Cilia is tackled at the 51. Ralph Galloway was the first man down there to make contact.
And with all the success that Jerry Keeling's had in throwing that football against Saskatchewan and almost anybody they've played this year, let's look and see if Calgary may use some motion in their backfield to determine whether or not the Saskatchewan Roughriders are playing them to a man-to-man defense or a zone pass defense.
1st and 10, Calgary. Rudy Linderman on the far side of the field has a gain of about 8.
That was an example of exactly that, Don. Rudy Linderman, just on cue, went into motion and went out into the left flat, and it was a man-to-man defense that Saskatchewan was playing, and they were going to have a tough time covering these great Calgary receivers if they continue to play that.
And the weatherman apparently is right. The winds are picking up now, and they're blowing at about 15 miles an hour in Calgary's favor towards the Saskatchewan end.
2nd and 2 for Calgary. The ball at the 42. Ted Dushinsky made the big defensive play on Ted Woods, spilling him for a loss. And again, the ground game causes problems for the Stampeders. Dushinsky, one of 6 graduates of the Saskatoon Hilltops, wearing Saskatchewan Roughrider uniforms. There's a timeout in the field with 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 3, Calgary nothing.
Clickety-click, clickety-click. Romantic? Not to us. At CP Rail, that clickety-click is something we want to smooth out. That's why we're constantly checking those big steel wheels. We want them smooth. And it's why we make sure that every one of the 3,000 horses in this diesel engine is pulling its share of the load smoothly. And it's why we're installing rails that are almost 1/4 of a mile long. That way, there are fewer joints to go clickety-click. The result is a smoother ride for you and your freight. At CP Rail, we're after constant improvement in our equipment, methods, and service. Improvement from the rail up. CP Rail, another way Canadian Pacific serves you.
The Stampeders come up to a third down play, 3 yards to go from the 43, and Larry Robinson will attempt a field goal from the 51. It's good! Frank, I would have to say that Robinson had the advantage of a breeze at his back on that one. That ball just made it over the post.
Yes, he did, but he hit it very, very well, and you can hear from the crowd reaction the tremendous enthusiasm that these Calgary Stampeders fans have. I think it's carrying on into the ball club right now, and Saskatchewan's going to have their hands full until they take it away from them.
The Roughriders were pregame 3.5-point favorites. Good faking by Lancaster. Thompson's downfield. He's got it. No, they wave it off. It appeared as though he came down with that ball, but apparently did not have possession as Gene Beard was covering. What a great fake Ron Lancaster made into that line.
And a great individual effort by Bobby Thompson there. But if you watch this Gene Beard, number 19, the deep back that was covering Thompson there, he really makes those receivers pay once they catch the football in his area. And I'm sure that the odd time the receivers are thinking about this. Not that Thompson was at that point, but he certainly makes them pay when they catch that ball against him.
It's 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan from the 35. This is Thompson. Pelton finally brings him down with help from Joe Forzani. It's a gain of 5. It will be 3rd and 5. 1 minute and 53 seconds remain in the first quarter. We have a tie ball game. Calgary 3, Saskatchewan 3. Linderman and Cilia are back to receive the punt. I think it almost goes without saying that Calgary picked up a no yards penalty, judging by the response of the crowd as Jim Cilia fielded the ball. And it's 1st and 10 for the Stampeders from their own 53.
It was only a 29-yard punt that time, Don, but I think that's the biggest effect that this wind is going to have in this ball game. Both quarterbacks seem to be able to throw the ball either with the wind or against it.
Intended for Herm Harrison, it's incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 53. It was an almost ideal late November day in Calgary with the temperature about 40 degrees. It was 35 degrees at game time with the wind from 10 to 15 miles an hour. The wind has increased in velocity. It appears as though the temperature is dropping. In some parts of Alberta, they tell us that the snow is almost hip-high to a giraffe, and it's coming this way, which isn't good news, I guess, for Calgary football fans. Bruce Bennett made the tackle on Bob McCarthy. Immediately, he made the reception. 35 seconds remain till quarter time.
Calgary seems to be sticking to the same plan they had in the opening game. They went for 408 yards passing, very little running, a total of 34 yards. So far in the game, Calgary has had 4 carries and a total of 4 yards in the ground. So they're in about the same position, Don, as in the opening game.
Furlong's kick is taken by Cossett, and he crosses the 20 to the 21, where Dave Crabb made the tackle. A 40-yard kick and a 6-yard return, and there's an injured Calgary ball player. Ron Capham, the center, was shaken up. And this has been a busy year for trainer Larry Chase of the Stampeders. Ernie, I think you pointed out in our semifinal telecast involving the Stampeders and BC Lions that only a handful of Calgary players have been injury-free this year.
No question about it. I think the exact total was 9 over the season, had not been injured at one time or another, and had played a full game. But Calgary actually did take a physical beating from Saskatchewan in that semifinal game, or from the BC Lions in that semifinal.
It's 1st and 10 for Saskatchewan at the 22. Bobby Thompson has a first down up to the 37 as the gun sounds to end the first quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 3, Calgary 3, and we'll have more CFL action after this message.
When you were 10, one of the things you wanted to be when you grew up was a truck driver. Well, we wonder if you could handle the job now. Smith Transport. They handle goods between the prairies and the Atlantic and even to the U.S. It's one of the most advanced trucking operations in the world. CP Transport is our workhorse, operating from as far south as you can get to as far north as you can drive. This one's wheeling mercury and steel flasks from northern BC. Destination, New Jersey, USA. Now, how about this for a change? A radio-controlled dispatch system, electronic motor repair centers, computers, and this CP Express automated terminal in Toronto, one of a number we have to give us the most modern express terminals on the continent. Trucking has changed a lot since you were a kid, and so have we. Smith Transport, CP Express, CP Transport, trucking. Another way Canadian Pacific serves you.
Don Whitman, Frank Rigney, Ernie Afaganis, Sim Simoni, and Mo Simovich at McMahon Stadium in Calgary as the teams change ends for the start of quarter number 2. It's a 3-all ball game, and Saskatchewan has possession and a first down at their own 37.
While we're talking about downs, Saskatchewan has had 6 so far in the first quarter. Calgary, but 1.
Football, a rather elusive object there for Bobby Thompson as it just went off his fingertips.
Bobby Thompson appears to be a favorite receiver of Ron Lancaster both tonight and in the first game of this series. He hasn't thrown much to Huey Campbell in this playoff series. One of the reasons may well be Frank Andruski, number 24. You'll see Andruski go to either side of the field to cover Campbell, and he's done an excellent job of it.
2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Alan Ford is across midfield into Calgary territory where Joe Forzani made the stop.
And Alan Ford here on your isolated camera is the fellow they call Mr. Everything with these Saskatchewan Roughriders. Here he goes down, runs a deep curl-in pattern, makes a fine reception, and moves that ball into Calgary territory.
At the 53, it's 1st and 10 for the Riders. They're moving with the benefit of the wind at their back. George Reed that time was straightened up after a gain of about 1 by Craig Coinzan and Jim Furlong.
I think Wayne Harris was also in there, Don, and those two fellas, former National Football Award winners in the CFL, have met each other quite a few times in the last few years.
Lancaster beginning to go to work as he spots Molnar for a gain down to the 30.
That time he caught the Calgary Stampeders in a full blitz. The offensive line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders picked up those shooting linebackers and gave Lancaster enough time to get rid of that football.
And Frank Lancaster is now leveled at 5 for 10, a 500 average, and that's a little above his playoff average of 46.5.
From the 29, it's 1st and 10 for the Riders. That release pass to Jim Warden for very close to another first down. Frank Andruski made the stop. And as you're probably aware, sitting at home, Lancaster is getting plenty of time to throw that ball.
That really showed the experience a quarterback must have to pick out an auxiliary receiver like that. Big Jim Warden, the tight end, number 72.
So it's another first down for the Rough Riders. This time the ball's at the 19. You won't see that too often. Huey Campbell had that one sitting on his fingertips and couldn't quite squeeze as he stumbled through the end zone.
After a great remark of how good a job Andruski's done against Campbell, Campbell puts a great move on Andruski, gets behind him, and the ball is perfectly thrown. As you say, Don, you certainly don't see Campbell drop that football very often.
And Al Rankin has come into the lineup to replace Campbell as the flanker for Saskatchewan on 2nd and 10 from the 19. Draw play. And Reed is hit at the 15 by Don Luzzy. Well, the foot has certainly been in this football game, and again, Jack Avenshan moves in, and it will likely mean a field goal try. He's already been successful on one for Saskatchewan. It's wide. It sails through the end zone for 1 point, and Saskatchewan moves in front of Calgary. There's a timeout in the field with 11 minutes to play in the second quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 4, Calgary 3.
Every afternoon on CBC television, it's good afternoon viewing when you start with Take 30. That's when Adrian Clarkson talks to people about everything from birth control to fashion, architecture to apple pie. Paul Soles talks to the Hollywood stars, the business tycoons, the successes and the failures. And Madame Benoit presents her own cooking recipes and those of other experts such as Graham Kerr. Then at 4 o'clock, the Galloping Gourmet himself appears to tell you how to make those illegal, immoral, and fattening dishes that he loves, using recipes that he has gathered in his travels around the world. Just to watch Graham Kerr prepare, serve, and actually eat his own dishes is enough to make you gain a couple of pounds a day. So for really enjoyable afternoon viewing, Take 30 at 3 every weekday afternoon. Then at 4, join the Galloping Gourmet on CBC television.
While the majority of this crowd is pro-Calgary, the Rough Riders are not without their supporters. They may be outnumbered, but they're certainly providing both audio and visual encouragement. It's Calgary, 1st and 10 from the 25. Nowhere for Ted Woods to go, but into the arms of Ed McQuarters. Well, the Man in the Moon has company tonight in the person of Alan Bean and Pete Conrad, and they, in not too many hours, will be attempting their second moonwalk. And at halftime, the national news will be featured, and undoubtedly more will be forthcoming on the astronauts up on the moon. It's intercepted by Ted Dushinsky. He's gone. A 32-yard interception return for a touchdown for Ted Dushinsky.
Well, Jerry Keeling attempts to hit Bob McCarthy, the fellow he had so much success with in the first game. However, he underthrows it. Dushinsky has a gift touchdown. They don't come any easier than that. The Saskatchewan Ball Club is just too good a football team to hand 6 points to him like that, Don.
A good opportunity to quote Eagle Keyes when we asked him about Dushinsky last night. He says when he is alert, he's about as good as there is. He has a tendency to play a bad game, but not too often.
It's 10-3. Jack Avenshan will go after point number 11, and he's successful. And the Roughriders move in front by a score of 11-3. Well, the Grey Cup is about the last national championship to be decided. One other will be settled this week, and that's the Canadian Collegiate Championship, when the University of Manitoba Bisons go against the McGill Redmen, and that game will take place in Toronto on Friday night. It's the battle for the Vanier Cup, and you'll see it on CBC television at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. It will also be heard on CBC Radio in Manitoba. Howard Starks takes the kick off and is upended at the 35. Barry Aldag made the stop. It's 1st and 10 for Calgary.
Well, it's a do-or-die situation at this point for the Calgary Stampeders with a little over 2 quarters of football remaining. The 1969 season could be over, so I think we're going to look for them to throw the football quite often for the rest of this ball game.
They'll scrimmage at the 36, 1st and 10, with 10 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Terry Evanson hits the 50-yard line. Wayne Shaw made the stop.
I'm sure that little Terry Evanson, number 25 there, is glad to be back playing this ball game in McMahon Stadium after being attacked by a fan in the first game, Don. You got enough problems trying to catch that football and run those patterns without dealing with the fan.
It's a first down from the 50. Rudy Linderman gets almost to midfield. Frank, you mentioned the problem Evanson had with a fan in Regina. Well, a telegram was sent to Calgary sports writer Hal Walker this morning from a fan in Regina. It said, "Wish to apologize for the action of the fan who attacked Evanson. Not indicative of average Saskatchewan sportsmanship. Congratulations to the Stampeders on the tremendous game," and it was signed a typical Saskatchewan fan. 2nd and 6 from the 54. Rudy Linderman appears to have enough for the first down. .8:14 remains in the second quarter. It's 11-3, Saskatchewan ahead of Calgary. Ted Woods on the short side ran out of room at the 43. Shaw and Dempsey forced him up.
It's a major thrust for the rushing game of the Calgary Stampeders, as in 8 attempts they've gained only 15 yards on a net rushing basis in the first 2 quarters of this ball game.
It's 2nd and just over 3 for the Stampeders. It's Woods again. He's close to the first down. Ted Dushinsky forced him up. As you at home can judge by the response, the Stampeders have a first down inside the 40. Seven minutes and 26 seconds remain in the second quarter. Intended for Rudy Linderman. As you saw, it's incomplete.
Linderman, of course, is not happy with that, but Keeling is having a pretty good night. He's 5 for 7, and in that opening game and the final statistics, Keeling completed 25 of 43, so that was the best part of the Stamps game. 5 out of 7, though, this early in the contest is very high.
Saskatchewan has made a defensive change. Barry Aldag is in, and Wayne Shaw, has gone to the bench. It's 2nd and 10 from inside the 40. Screen pass is knocked down by Ken Frith, and he's been applying tremendous pressure to Keeling most of the night.
Keeling has used this motion with his backs moving prior to the snap of the football very, very effectively. He's caught Saskatchewan several times in a man-to-man defense and has had whatever success Calgary's had offensively, mainly in the air.
On 3rd and 10, Larry Robinson comes into the ball game for another field goal attempt. You'll recall in the first quarter he was successful with the wind at his back from 51 yards. He's now kicking into the wind from 46 yards out. It's short and off to the side. Larry Robinson came in. The penalty flag goes down as Larry DeGraw fielded the ball.
I don't believe there'll be a penalty there, Don. The officials automatically throw that flag down there when they see someone encroaching in that 5 yards. However, as you see here, Paul Jojak waves it off as they determined it was the kicker, Larry Robinson, number 15.
And so the score stands at 11-3, Saskatchewan over Calgary, and the Roughriders again have the football, this time at their own 20. Brandt is still playing center in place of Ted Ernest, who was shaken up in the opening kickoff. George Reed is up to the 27 with Craig Coinzan making the tackle. Coinzan, number 61, stepped into the breach in the opening game at Taylor Field, replacing the injured Wayne Harris, and did a creditable job at that middle linebacking position. Henry Dorsch comes in for Saskatchewan. Thompson goes to the bench on 2nd and just over 3. This one appears to be short, Frank.
Let's take a look at the big fullback, George Reed. Again, the leading rusher in the Western Conference this year. And Coinzan, the fellow that you mentioned, that did such an outstanding job replacing Wayne Harris last weekend against these Saskatchewan Roughriders, was there to make the stop.
So Saskatchewan is forced to kick the football to either Rudy Linderman or Jim Cilia. And that task will fall to Alan Ford. Don Seaman down there to bring him down. Seaman, number 79, last year was with the Saskatoon Hilltops when they won the Canadian Junior Championship. They repeated last weekend, again defeating the Ottawa Sooners, and our CBC Western crew extends our congratulations to the Saskatoon Hilltops, the Canadian Junior Champions, the St. Vital Bulldogs, the Canadian Senior Champions, and the Winnipeg Hawkeyes, the Canadian Juvenile Football Champions. The ball appeared to be fumbled. Was it recovered by Saskatchewan? Ted Woods was the ball carrier, and apparently the whistle had gone before it squirted away into the arms of Ted Dushinsky.
Again, a very effective use of that motion, Don. They sent two people in motion to the left and moved the middle linebacker, Wally Dempsey, out of there and got almost a 10-yard gain on a straight dive play.
Ted Woods has more than enough for the first down as he advances almost to the 50. 3 minutes and 47 seconds remain till halftime. And again, we remind you that we'll feature the national news from Toronto during the halftime intermission. And at that time, they'll have more on the success of the Apollo 12 mission to the moon. Rudy Linderman on the first down play has a gain of 6 at 2nd and 4 from midfield. Don Banuk made the tackle.
Has to be somewhat surprising to see these Calgary Stampeders running so often inside against Saskatchewan. We certainly anticipated Jerry Keeling throwing that football more, but possibly will a little later in this ball game, as they have a deficit of 8 points to make up at this stage.
Again, that one was almost picked off by Ted Dushinsky. There's a timeout in the field with 3 minutes to play in the second quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 11, Calgary 3.
CBC Weekend on Saturday night is the right place to be. I'm Lloyd Robertson. This is where you'll get all the news first. The hour or so right after Hockey Night in Canada will tell you what's happening across this country and around the world, whether it's a report on the living conditions of people in the Atlantic provinces, lively entertainment from Montreal, or a serious report on French-English relations, comment from Parliament Hill in Ottawa, a quick trip across the prairies, or a lively happening in British Columbia. You'll see it all right here on CBC Weekend. And we'll have interviews with personalities in the news and comment on the events of the week. So on Saturday nights, stay by your television sets right after the hockey game and travel with us along the electronic highway of Canada for CBC Weekend. You'll get what you want: news, comment, entertainment, lively and interesting people. So be with us every Saturday for CBC Weekend.
In his 21st year in Canadian football, Eagle Keys as head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders after a playing career with Montreal and Edmonton, and also a brief coaching fling with the Edmonton Eskimos. Bob Cossett is decked at the 30. Jerry Watson was downfield to make the tackle. So 2 minutes and 26 seconds showing the scoreboard clock till halftime, and the Roughriders enjoy an 8-point advantage. That time, George Reed was dropped for a loss. Joe Forzani, John Helton just getting up 77, and Wayne Harris all sensed that move.
The Calgary Stampeders seem to have made some adjustments in stopping George Reed on these off-tackle plays he was so successful with earlier in this game in the first quarter.
It's 2nd and 11, Saskatchewan. Steve Molnar, had he been able to squeeze that one, was home free. And Howard Starks, the man defending, is undoubtedly just a little thankful that Molnar didn't catch it. Starks slipped as he tried to move up, and he was the last defender between Molnar and the goal line.
And again, Ron Lancaster did a great job of reading that blitz. All the Calgary Stampeder linebackers came in that time. It was a great throw.
Ford gets away a big kick. It's taken by Celia. And he's tackled by Don Seaman. That boot, 54 yards, and for Celia, a 4-yard return.
We understand, Don, that Ted Ernest, the outstanding veteran center of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who went out on the first play of this ball game, is not seriously injured. He apparently was hit in the head and quite possibly won't remember this first half, but it was nothing serious.
Rudy Linderman moves the football to the 40 for a Calgary first down, with Wally Dempsey making the tackle. A minute and 26 seconds remain in the first half. It's Saskatchewan 11, Calgary 3. Sideline pass to Jerry Shaw.
This Calgary Stampeder Ball Club has probably one of the most sophisticated passing offenses in the Canadian Football League. And one of the reasons they can be so effective with it, beyond Jerry Keeling's ability to throw that football, is the wide variety of receivers they have. They have 5 or 6 people that do a great job in running pass patterns and catching that ball.
And in the first game and again tonight, they are moving those people around. They're dropping Evanson back to a flanker position, moving Shaw up to the split end spot, and generally flip-flopping all their receivers. Bob McCarthy was the intended receiver. It's incomplete. That pass, I think, was born of desperation.
Well, that was an example of a fairly sophisticated play offensively in a passing offense. It was an inside screen attempt to Bob McCarthy, and had it been successful in terms of the completion, there was a lot of room for him to move.
Furlong will kick from the 35. Dushinsky is upended at the 44. If the fella ever had a chance to kick one over, I think Jim Furlong would like the opportunity. That boot just 22 yards. So with 55 seconds remaining till halftime, the Rough Riders lead 11-3, and they have a first down at their own 44. At that Saskatchewan bench, Dim Warden was standing there waiting for Ron Lancaster to get it to him. He probably felt that ball would never arrive, Frank.
Yes, and as far as Ron Lancaster was concerned, there were no defensive linemen arriving either. The protection was outstanding from the Saskatchewan offensive line. A 26-yard gain.
Screen pass to George Reed. And he's brought down at the 15. First hit by Larry Robinson.
Well, here's the same play that Coach Jim Duncan of the Calgary Stampeders felt killed them in the first ball game of this series. George Reed slipping very wide outside, a wide screen to the outside. Big Cloyd Brock picking off Wayne Harris, and George moving that ball down to the 15-yard line. An excellent example of good use of the last few seconds of the halftime by veteran quarterback Ron Lancaster.
31 seconds remain. Lancaster throwing into the end zone. Hugh Campbell, touchdown, but wave it off. It's waved off by the official who was there, and Campbell, not putting up much of an argument, he stepped into touch before he caught the ball.
And just a great move, as they say, on a receiver like this. He can certainly undress a defensive back. He turned Frank Andruski all the way around that time.
Alan Ford comes in. Lance Fletcher goes to the bench as Saskatchewan shuffles personnel. It's 2nd and 10 from the 15 with 21 seconds remaining till halftime. Intended for Campbell, incomplete. Terry Wilson was back in the end zone with him.
Well, Campbell certainly isn't having one of his better nights. It would have been a great individual effort, but he certainly had the opportunity to catch that football, and that was the second time he's been in the Calgary end zone and failed to come up with the football.
And so Jack Abenchan, with 14 seconds remaining, will attempt to give the Roughriders 14 points on the board and a halftime edge of 14-3. It's wide. It sails through the end zone for a single point, and the scoreboard advances just one numeral. It's 12-3. Saskatchewan leading Calgary with 10 seconds remaining till the break.
Very interesting conversation we had prior to the game, Don, with Don Luzzy, number 62, the veteran Calgary Stampeder defensive lineman. We asked him how his leg was, and he said we wrote him off a little bit too early. He's going to last 3 more football games this year.
Well, this will be the final play of the half, barring penalty, and Rudy Linderman will try to move it downfield. He picked up 5 yards, but he's tackled there as the gun sounds to end the first half. The score is Saskatchewan 12, Calgary 3. We'll be back with our halftime show after this message.
I'm Tom McKee. When you want to enjoy the best in Canadian professional football, join the fun and excitement of the college game, watch the quick action on the soccer field, or mix with the crowds that follow hockey, indoor track, and wrestling. You can do it all right here on CBC television. When you want to watch the thoroughbreds running, follow the standard breds as they pull the sulkies around the track. Feel the tension in the air over a championship putt, or watch the exhausting action of competitive tennis. Here is where you'll find it on CBC television. For the best in Major League Baseball action, golf, horse racing, hockey, soccer, college, and professional football. Stay with CBC television all season long.
Tonight, the Apollo 12 astronauts decided to take their second moonwalk earlier than planned. For a report on this, over to Toronto and Gordon Donaldson. Saskatchewan 12, Calgary 3. And we'll return with a second half kickoff in just a moment.
Canadian professional football. This portion is brought to you by General Motors of Canada Limited, on behalf of GM dealers throughout Canada, who invite you to see and drive the new Mark of Excellence cars for 1970.
Yes, sir? Yes. I've been rather taken by the new 1970 Chevrolets. Could you show me something that's suitable for traveling with a group of friends?
This four-door Impala should suit you. Lots of room, luxurious fabrics, air conditioning if you like.
Very nice. Now, could you show me a two-door job? Sporty, but with lots of go-go. The kind of car you'd need if you were going out with a movie star.
Impala Sport Coupe, sumptuous pleated upholstery, big 350 cubic inch V8. That's standard this year. Very impressive.
Terrific. And now, what about weekends? Skiing, scuba diving, like that?
Well, I'd suggest this Kingswood Estate wagon. Big, real beauty, and lots of power.
Perfect.
But really, any one of these Chevrolets will give you all the things you want. You'll just have to make up your mind.
Oh, I have. I'll take them.
Come with me for a high-flying look at the 1970 Chevelles. There's one, the 1970 Malibu Sport Coupe, completely new. New front, new rear, new nightmares for the competition. There's the new four-door Malibu. You can see why Chevelle's the most popular car in its field. What you can't see, protective steel guard beams in the doors and a big new 155 horsepower engine. Both standard on all 70 Chevelles. They're strong movers. And there's the Malibu convertible. What a way to spend a summer day. Malibu interiors for 1970 make apologies to no one. Astro ventilation, new fabrics and colors, and Strato bucket seats you can order. These are just 3 of the 14 great new 1970 Chevelles. Give one a whirl at your Chevrolet dealers now.
The second half of this second Western Conference final about to get underway at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. I'm Don Whitman with Frank Rigney and Ernie Afaganis. And the Roughriders, leading 12-3, will kick off to the Calgary Stampeders. Woods and Starks are back at the 5-yard line. Starks broke that one up to the 39-yard line where Cliff Shaw made the tackle. That was a 55-yard kickoff and a 29-yard return. And Howard Starks, back in a Stampeder uniform this year, doing an excellent job as a defensive back and also on that kickoff return team. So Calgary has decided to face the wind in this third quarter and hopefully use it to advantage in the fourth. It's 1st and 10 at the 38. Ted Woods galloped to the 52 where Bruce Bennett made the stop.
And certainly you won't see a back run much harder than this, as Woods makes a good move to the outside here to get away from Ken Reed, number 58. Really turns it on, pulls away from Wally Dempsey, and moves that ball into Saskatchewan territory at the 53-yard line.
That was a gain of 19. It's 1st and 10 Calgary from the 53 of Saskatchewan. Evanson flanks to the right. Keeling calls the signal. This time Ted Woods couldn't fight off all 3 tacklers, and Ed McQuarters, with help from Bill Baker, made the stop.
Bill Baker, by the way, is considered by the Saskatchewan coaching staff only a step behind Big Ed McQuarters as far as his ability to rush that passer.
Second and just under 10. The draw play to Woods. The penalty flag goes down. And Ken Reed made the tackle. Let's wait for the infraction. The original indication appeared to be a face mask call.
It was either that, Don, or holding. Billy Roy, number 50, the left offensive guard of the Calgary Stampeders, appeared rather unhappy with himself. He was playing across from Ken Frith, number 62, and it appears that it's going to be a holding call on Billy Roy.
That's the signal. The infraction moves the ball back to the 48. It will be second down repeated. And the Stampeders have about 19 yards to that first down marker. Vern Harrison, a big catch. Way downfield at the 37.
What an excellent throw by Jerry Keeling. As Big Herm Harrison, number 76, the tight end who lined up on the left side, runs a post pattern down the middle. Saskatchewan playing a very deep zone defense at that point, and look how tough it is to bring this big fella down.
And so the Stampeders are now 1st and 10 at the 37 of Saskatchewan. Straight ahead to Ted Woods for a pickup of about 4. It will be 2nd and 6. Don Banuk, Ed McQuarters, Wally Dempsey, and Bill Baker, along with Wayne Shaw, were all over there on that stop. "11 minutes and 45 seconds remain in the third quarter. The Saskatchewan defensive unit, with their star member being number 61, Ed McQuarters. Woods again, this time to the 30, with Don Banuk making the tackle. And now on third down and about 3, Calgary coach Jim Duncan sends in the field goal unit. 12-3 is the score. The Stampeders trailing the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And those 3 Calgary points were a result of a field goal by Larry Robinson, number 15, who's going to attempt this one. And he set a new Calgary Stampeder club record with that kick in the first half, a 51-yard field goal.
This one from the 37, it's up. It's good. There's a timeout on the field. And with 11 minutes to play in the third quarter, the score is Saskatchewan 12, Calgary 6.
Introducing the 1970 Nova.
Open Wallet.
Open the what?
Wallet. Oh, trunk. Was Einsen. Big Einsen.
He must be in the trunk.
Just who does he think he is?
Das big wallet. To big. What's a room school? Yavanko!
Chevrolet's 1970 Nova. What some people won't do for a test drive.
Look familiar? Those short little trips around town can really foul spark plugs and make your engine lose power. Better see your United Delco AC dealer for Acniter spark plugs. AC keeps your car in action with sensational new Acniter spark plugs. They fire extra hot, burn extra clean, help your car run smoother. Get Acniters and other quality United Delco AC products where you see this sign.
Well, the native of Turkey Neck Bend, Kentucky, has some concern at this moment with his Roughriders leading by 6 points. He's led his club to 4 straight over the Stampeders this year. He said last night, "I'd sure like to make it 5 in a row." Bobby Thompson's gone.
And what a great fake by Ron Lancaster here. He hides that ball back on his hip and gives Thompson time to run this pattern, which is a breakout and up. Working against Gene Beard, a perfectly thrown pass and a 75-yard touchdown. Certainly that's coming back after that Calgary Stampeder drive. One play, 75 yards. Lancaster to Bobby Thompson.
Well, if Keys was concerned, I'm sure Bobby Thompson has contributed somewhat to easing that tension with that touchdown gallop. And with the convert by Jack Abenchan, it's now Saskatchewan 19 and Calgary 6.
And this Saskatchewan ball club certainly is happy to have this Bobby Thompson and the results of his work this year. They're particularly missing Gordy Barwell here this evening, who has given them the great deep receiving ability, who's out with a shoulder separation. But Thompson certainly showed a great turn of speed on that one.
Ernie Lancaster, Don, is now 9 for 18, and his passing total at his yardage is 200 yards even with that 75-yard pass and run to Thompson. Thompson, by the way, has scored his second touchdown in this series. He broke up the ball game in the opener with that fine little run of his there. And in total offense, though, in Saskatchewan in the first half, it was 206 to 116 for Calgary.
Woods takes the kickoff. He's upended at the 24.
Just a vicious block on that kickoff return by big Roger Kramer on Wally Dempsey, the middle linebacker of Saskatchewan. Roger Kramer, by the way, is not one of the smaller fellas on that field. He stands at 6'5", 280 pounds. He and Clyde Brock make quite a pair of offensive tackles.
How does Eagle Keys describe them? They're big enough to go bear hunting with a switch? The ball gets away from Woods. He recovers down at the 15. Baker in pulling down the Calgary fullback, pulled the ball right out of his arm, and Woods was somewhat fortunate, I think, to recover with 4 Roughriders coming in on him.
Usually when you try to pick a loose ball up like that, Don, you wind up in a lot of trouble, but Ted managed to get it back, although he did lose about 10 yards.
It's 2nd and 18, make it 19. Stark's in there as a running back in place of McCarthy, and he's up to the 25. Wayne Shaw prevents him from going any further. DeGraw and Cossett, 15 and 24, are back. Furlong will kick from the 11. Dushinsky on that extremely short kick puts Saskatchewan in excellent position again. That boot just 14 yards.
And a good heads-up play by Ted Dushinsky, as the punter, Jim Furlong, was very close to being down there to catch his own punt.
And so it's Saskatchewan, 1st and 10 at the 37 of Calgary. George Reed took some punishing shots there, but still managed to stay in his feet.
Watch the line play here as Jack Evanson's blocking on Granville Liggins, number 51. And George Reed must be hit at least 4 or 5 times on this play. He gets away from Wayne Harris, is hit by Gene Beard, and finally stopped at the 35-yard line.
It's a gain of 1 at 2nd and 9. Molnar has a first down to the 22-yard line. Howard Starks made the tackle.
And this is what comes with experience. Ron Lancaster again reads that full blitz of the Calgary Stampeders. He was backpedaling full out and sent Steve Molnar, number 19, out of that backfield. A good completion again and down to the 22-yard line.
It's like Bud Grant once said that a good coach needs a great quarterback, a fine dog, and a great wife, but not necessarily in that order.
Good fake by Lancaster. End zone throw. Touchdown. Huey Campbell atoned for 2 previous miscues in the end zone with that reception.
Well, this time Campbell makes no mistake about it. He gets behind Frank Andruski for the 3rd time. The first time he's caught the football, but a commanding lead now by the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they go ahead 25-6.
Chance convert is good, and it's now Calgary 6, Saskatchewan 26. Should, of course, the Roughriders be successful in this game, they'll advance as Western representative in the Grey Cup Classic to be played at the Autostade in Montreal 1 week from Sunday. If Jim Duncan's Stampeders can come back and win this one, then it would force a 3rd Western final to be played at Taylor Field on Sunday afternoon. However, at the moment, it looks as though that combination of Eagle Keys and Ron Lancaster is very much in control. Ted Woods takes the kickoff. He's tackled at the 30 by Steve Molnar.
Watch here as we see Ted Dushinsky, the fellow who has a touchdown on an interception, along with Steve Molnar, make the stop on Ted Woods at about the 30-yard line, the 31.
It's 1st and 10 Calgary with 7:07 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Herm Harrison carries to the 52 with Bruce Bennett making the stop. .6'3", 235. He's a rather imposing target from his tight end position.
Certainly can't write out those Calgary Stampeders with Jerry Keeling throwing the football like that. He put that one right on the clothesline.
1st down at the 52. A big loss back to the 38. Ken Frith was in there, so was Bill Baker, number 65. As a matter of fact, the front 4 of the Jolly Green Giants all came charging in on Jerry Keeling, and you'll notice that he is in some difficulty. That ankle injury has been causing some pain. And that young lady, Maureen Brisson, sitting astride the Palomino, and would you say that horse looks a little dejected? They usually ride the length of the field on a Calgary touchdown. They haven't had an opportunity tonight. Some great broken field running by Rudy Linderman before he was caught up to by Wayne Shaw.
The play the Calgary Stampeders tried earlier in the first half, the screen pass over the middle, an inside screen. With that great pressure, he finds a big hole to hit Rudy Linderman. Good block by Ted Wood there. Ted Wood, by the way, is considered by many of the coaches as the finest blocking back in the Canadian Football League.
4:53 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Linderman again into the 43-yard line. Ken Reed, the tackler. 58 is Reed, 65 Bill Baker, 16 is Dorsch, 27 Dushinsky, 24 Cossett, 50 is Wayne Shaw. Some of the members of that Saskatchewan defensive brigade. Over the head of Jerry Shaw.
If this Saskatchewan ball club does advance to the Grey Cup final, Don, many of the players and the coaching staff hope very much that they meet the Toronto Argonauts. Not that they feel that they don't have as good a ball club as the Ottawa Roughriders, but they'd like to atone for their early season interlocking loss to those Toronto Argonauts.
Jim Furlong punting on third down for Calgary. And Cossett is tackled at the 10. Frank, I believe that loss to Toronto, which you mentioned, was the last time that the Saskatchewan team tasted defeat, way back on the 14th of September.
Yes, and assistant coach Jim Spavital felt in discussions last night that that was the turning point of the season. They more or less hit a low ebb at that stage when they lost to Toronto, and have constantly improved since that time with I believe 8 straight victories.
First down, Saskatchewan from the 10. Lancaster overshot Bob Thompson, number 26.
And that time Lancaster paid the price of waiting to release that football. It was Craig Coinzan, number 61, hit him very, very hard just as he released the football.
.328 remains in the third quarter. It's 2nd and 10 for the Riders from their own 10. Intended for Steve Molnar, incomplete. Protection Lancaster is receiving tonight from his offensive line is most impressive. On that throw, he was waving his receivers further downfield.
One of the people who's doing an excellent job at that too, Don, is Cliff Shaw, number 51, who stepped in Brandt's place, who has taken over the centering duties from Ted Ernest, who was injured earlier in this game. Cliff Shaw is working against Granville Liggins, who's extremely quick, but he's handled him very, very well so far.
Great kick by Alan Ford. Celia goes back to the 42. There's a timeout on the field with 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 26, Calgary 6.
There's a lot that's dreary in my long day, looking for something to take me away. Been working all week with a dream in mind, a dream of escape of a great new kind. Wanna feel happy, wanna feel good. Now I found old escape machine, a great new cutlass called Supreme. When I'm driving free, everything looks fine, and I escape in this O's of mine. Hey, you want to escape to high luxury, down in a new size and price within your reach? Check out Cutlass Supreme. It's a new idea in young mobile thinking from Oldsmobile. They don't call it an escape machine for nothing. You can be happy, you can feel good, really feel happy, really feel.
The big event of the football season, of course, is the Grey Cup, and this year it will be produced by the CBC. The CBC will also bring you many of the other festivities that goes with that great week of fun in Montreal, including the parade and special shows on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday called Today at the Grey Cup.
It's 1st and 10 for Calgary from their own 49. Keeling couldn't get away from Don Banuk. It's 2nd and 14 at the 45. Rudy Linderman fought his way to the 54 where Wally Dempsey made the tackle. The fans want the Stamps to gamble. Jim Duncan sends in the kicking team. Larry DeGraw and Cossett go back for Furlong's kick, and he has not been particularly proficient in this department tonight. Dave Crabb makes the downfield tackle on Larry DeGraw. Now with 1 minute and 14 seconds still to play in the third quarter, it's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan from their own 24.
We notice on the sideline, number 12, Bill Riddell, the backup quarterback of the Calgary Stampeders, is warming up.
Lancaster gets to the 30. Wayne Harris made the tackle.
Great move here by Lancaster, but watch Wayne Harris as he's working from that middle linebacking position. He gets away from the offensive center, Gary Brandt, and shows that excellent pursuit to the wide side, and in a last-ditch effort catches up with Lancaster to hold it to a 5-yard gain.
Sideline catch by Alan Ford for what appears to be a first down. 27 seconds remain till three-quarter time. Steve Molnar is dropped for a loss back to the 32. John Helton was the first to make contact. And it appears as though we have time for one more third quarter play. And Molnar has the first down to the 50 as the gun sounds to end the third quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 26, Calgary 6, and we'll have more CFL action after this message.
When you're smiling, say Labatt's Blue, the beer that smiles with you. It's the true one, brewed for you one. The lager that's true blue.
Next time you order,
next time say Labatt's Blue.
It's the lager,
taste that is true. So when you're smiling, say Labatt's Blue. The true blue lager beer.
True blue friends of this great beer say Labatt's Blue. So do its new friends. And Labatt's Blue is making more and more new friends all across Canada.
So when you're smiling, Sailor Fats Blue, the true blue lager beer. Blue, 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 Labatt's Blue.
That picture at the Calgary bench of center Ron Capham, I think, portrays just what has been happening to these Stampeders tonight. They haven't had things going successfully at all, as Saskatchewan came back with 2 quick touchdowns in the third quarter, and they now enjoy that 20-point margin as we start the final 15 minutes. Lancaster was pushed out by Gene Beard. A penalty flag goes down. And what a great fake he made.
And what a fake. Watch this. I think Lancaster himself is surprised that he's that wide open. As he goes around Joe Forzani, there's nobody within 5 yards of them. And I think there's going to be a roughing penalty here on Gene Beard as he hit Lancaster after he'd already stepped out of bounds.
That's the call against Gene Beard of the Stampeders. Lancaster very obviously just trying to get to the safety of the sideline. Eagle Keys calls his Saskatchewan club the best team he's ever had. And with a season record of 13-3, I guess one can't dispute his statement.
And I'm sure that he was glad to see Ron Lancaster running for that out of bounds, Don. We don't want to lose a quarterback of his ability.
George Reed is down to the 24, a gain of 2. Granny Liggins makes the tackle. It will be 2nd and 8. Our CBC color cameras will originate the Grey Cup telecast on the 30th of November from the Autostad in Montreal. And we invite you to join us for the telecast, plus all the pregame hoopla, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights with a half-hour show featuring Grey Cup activity. Reed again with Liggins making the tackle.
Just looking at the stats, we find that Reed has carried 17 times for 97 yards.
Avanchan will go for 3. It's good. We have a timeout in the field with 13 minutes and 40 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 29, Calgary 6.
Say Labatt's Blue, the beer that smiles with you. It's the true one,
The true one.
for you one,
For you one.
the lager that's true blue. Next time you order, just say Labatt's Blue, 'cause it's the lager with the taste that is true. So when you're smiling, say Labatt's Blue, the true blue lager beer.
The great taste of Labatt's Blue is winning more and more new friends all across Canada. Make friends with Labatt's Blue yourself. It's a good friend to have, a true blue friend.
So when you're smiling, just say Labatt's Blue, the true blue lager beer. Blue, 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 Labatt's Blue.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders will have to come up with an extremely big effort in these final 13 minutes and 40 seconds. They trail by 23 points if they hope to prolong their season to at least another Western playoff game. Pass is good to Howard Starks. It's just shy of the first down, or at least it appears to be. A measurement may be called for.
It's been a very frustrating season, Don, for these Calgary Stampeders. having lost Peter List, their outstanding quarterback last year, and the resignation of their head coach Jerry Williams, who moved to the Philadelphia Eagle head coaching job very late in the spring. They had extremely bad weather in training camp and have had a list of injuries that's been extremely long all year.
On second and a little bit, it's the long throw way over Jerry Shaw. Ken Reed got through to quarterback Jerry Keeling. And it's now 3rd and 1.
Jerry actually threw that ball 55 yards in the air. And for a fellow who professes not to like the quarterbacking position, he says he'd prefer to play defensive back. He certainly has the arm.
So now it's a rather important 3rd down gamble for the Stampeders. Dempsey made the contact on Keeling, and let's wait to see. There's the signal. It's a 1st down. Bruce Bennett knocked the ball away from Jerry Shaw. It will be 2nd and 10 at the 46. Incomplete, aimed at Terry Evanson. He was defended by Ted Dushinsky.
And again, great pressure by big Bill Baker. It appears that Jerry Keeling is suffering the effects of being hammered back there after releasing that football.
Furlong on 3rd down, kicks to Cossack. And Saskatchewan will put the ball in play at the 29. 48-yard kick and a 10-yard return.
Looking to Jerry Keeling's record so far in the ball game, with about 11 minutes to go, he has thrown 21 times and has completed 12, just a little bit over that 50% mark. He's 55% through the season, and that is slightly higher, about 3.5 points higher than Ronnie Lancaster.
10:46 remaining in the ball game. At the 28, it's 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. Reed is brought down at the line of scrimmage.
Watch Wayne Harris here, number 55, and Big John Helton as they move with good lateral movement to their left. Stop George Reed as he's attempting to get over that 100-yard rushing mark.
2nd and 10 for Saskatchewan. Wayne Harris made the tackle on Bob Thompson. '28 Celia, 17 Rudy Linderman. Barry Aldag came over to make the tackle, with Celia attempting to run back the punt.
The pace of this ball game has certainly slowed down, Don. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are dominating these Calgary Stampeders, and unless they can do something awfully quick, it's going to be the end of the 1969 football season for Calgary in about 9 more minutes of playing time. And there's their head coach, Jim Duncan, who's done such a great job with this injury-riddled ball club all year.
Intercepted by Bruce Bennett. Howard Starks brought him down, but not before he had brought it back to the 30.
What a beautiful move by Bennett as Keeling rolls out to his right and attempts to hit Shaw. Bennett times his jump in front of Shaw perfectly, returns the ball 47 yards before finally being brought down by Howard Starks. Saskatchewan has the ball again in good scoring position at the 30-yard line.
It's 1st and 10 for the Roughriders with 8:45 remaining.
To move away from football for just a moment, a reminder for the many hockey viewers on CBC, and there are millions, by the way, Toronto and Detroit will play at the Gardens on Saturday night. Then on Sunday, Montreal and Boston on CBC Radio. So keep that in mind and check your listings for the time in your area.
It's 2nd and 7 from the 27. Molnar appears to have the first down as he crossed the 20. The young ball player from Saskatoon hasn't had too much of an opportunity to show his stuff as an offensive player, but he certainly displayed some fine talents tonight. .7:31 showing on the clock till full time. 29-6, the Roughriders lead. Bobby Thompson is down to the 10. Craig Coinzan came over to make the tackle. Dorsch comes in. Thompson goes to the bench for Saskatchewan. It's 2nd and 2. Touchdown, George Reed.
Well, George Reed gets over that 100-yard rushing mark in outstanding fashion. A great last-minute effort as he pulls Frank Andruski into the end zone with him. That was 20 carries for Reed now for 111 yards rushing total. Again, we can see why he's led the CFL's Western Division in the rushing title for the last 5 years.
It's 36-6. The Roughriders leading the Calgary Stampeders with 6 minutes and 37 seconds till full time. The Ottawa Roughriders and the Toronto Argonauts, I'm sure, will be watching this game and taking a look at some of the talents of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as it appears very much as though they will be the Western rep in the Grey Cup. And Toronto on Saturday will go into Ottawa holding an 8-point lead in that Eastern Conference final. And Russ Jackson will be honored that day, and we extend our best to him.
I'm sure that Ronnie Lancaster has felt now, or feels now, that he has redeemed himself. He did not have a good opening game in this series, but he has been the whole show so far.
Howie Shum on the kickoff return to the 33. And right at this point, we pause for a bulletin from our Toronto newsroom.
Astronauts Conrad and Bean have now been on the lunar surface just a little over an hour. They're moving around the edge of that crater on the ocean of storms, and they're finding the walking very easy, according to Pete Conrad, almost effortless. They're quite talkative. They've discovered that the colors around the ocean of storm craters are very different from the colors elsewhere on the moon. They're finding many smaller rocks of varying colors, and they think that right now they're getting down to bedrock. At the moment, they're taking photographs of this rock. CBC Television will bring you complete coverage of the moonwalk following the football game. Now back to Calgary.
Don Whitman back at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. And for the Stampeders, it's 2nd and 10 with 5:44 remaining. Intercepted by Ken Reed. A penalty flag is down. Rough play was charged against the Saskatchewan Roughriders following the interception. They will retain possession of the football. And the ball is moved back to the 39, and Bubba Weich has come into the ball game as quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think with that maneuver by head coach Eagle Keys, you can pretty well rest assured that the Roughriders feel they have this one home and locked up.
Great defensive play on that interception by Wally Dempsey, number 77, the middle linebacker, who tipped the ball to Ken Reed, who did make the final interception. It's one of the signs of a great middle linebacker. He can get that depth on your deep zone coverage, and Dempsey, of course, is one of the best in Canada.
Steve Molnar is flipped back by John Helton. (36-6), the Saskatchewan Roughriders, now under the direction of Bubba Weich, lead the Calgary Stampeders with 4:48 remaining in the fourth quarter. Well, Bubba Weich hasn't had much success in trying to advance this Saskatchewan football team. George Reed was caught in the draw play. It's a further loss back to the 26. Third and 24 for Saskatchewan. This is Rudy Linderman. Hauled down in front of the timekeeper's bench after a return of 4 yards. He ran a long way to get 4 yards.
Linderman appears to be bothered by that shoulder, Don. He had a slight separation a couple of ball games ago and was a questionable starter in the semifinal series against the BC Lions.
At the 51, it's 1st and 10 for Calgary. Penalty flag goes down as Jerry Watson grabs the throw from quarterback Jerry Keeling. Holding is charged against Saskatchewan. And so that moves it to the 49 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it's 1st and 10 for Calgary. Jerry Watson on the draw. He's down to the 36, and you may see almost any time, there he is, some undoubtedly inebriated spectator trying to do some broken field running, but he looks as if he might be in pretty fair shape.
And a great move. I think we'll have to see that one again, Don.
I'll tell you, Frank, if he had some cleats on, there he goes.
Of course, there always has to be one or two at every football game. There's a timeout on the field with 3 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. The score is Saskatchewan 36, Calgary 6.
When you're smiling, say Labatt's Blue, the beer that smiles with you. It's the true one, brewed for you one, the lager that's true blue. Next time you order, just call for a blue, 'cause it's the lager with the taste that is true. So when you're smiling, just say Labatt's Blue, the true blue lager beer.
Smile when you say Labatt's Blue. It's Canada's true blue lager with a great taste you can count on anytime, time after time.
Yes, when you're smiling, just say Labatt's Blue, the true blue lager beer. Blue, 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 Labatt's Blue.
It's been such a pleasure working with both Don Whitman and Ernie Afghanis this year. I think we should turn over the mic to Ernie and have him comment on this isolated replay of the broken field running.
We'll call him Joe Bipstick for the moment, but he moves well to his right. I think if he had cleats, he'd really cause trouble.
Well, we're back to the people who should be doing the running and catching, and that's Herm Harrison. And in case you're wondering, that fan has made an exit with the help of the men in blue. And tomorrow he will probably think somewhat better of his actions this Wednesday night.
It looked as though Herm Harrison may have hurt his knee just a little bit on that last play, Don. He limped back into the huddle. There's Joe Bipstick.
So it's 1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Ted Woods, touchdown. His fans have been deprived of most cheering opportunities tonight. Ted Woods gave them one there. But it's too little and too late, I'm afraid, for Calgary fans.
What a great way to end up the season, Don, on a scoring note. And there's that horse that you mentioned earlier. His tail and ears seem to have perked up quite a bit with that score.
Well, Maureen Bisson aboard the Palomino with what will probably be her last ride at McMahon Stadium for 69. The convert is good by Larry Robinson, and it's 36-13 for Saskatchewan.
One more reminder that the College Bowl will be broadcast over CBC television at 8 o'clock Friday Eastern Time. And keep that in mind on both the CBC and CBC television and radio networks. Now, Bob Moyer will host that game for television between the Manitoba Bisons and the McGill Redmen. And then Bob Pitkin will bring you the radio broadcast to the West only. But on television, 8 o'clock on Friday night for the College Bowl game.
Well, with Rudy Linderman going in, we could perhaps see a short kickoff attempt as he can boot them soccer style. Kickoff is set. It is the short kickoff, and it goes into touch on the far side of the field. It will probably be repeated. Apparently, Saskatchewan have declined the penalty and elect to take the football. 1st and 10 at the 34. 2 minutes and 25 seconds remain in the ball game. There's a 23-point spread. Saskatchewan on the top end. From the 34, it's 1st and 10. John Helton made the tackle on George Reed. Well, something seems to have affected quite a number of spectators here at McMahon Stadium. This appears to be their night to act a little silly. And once one starts, you can rest assured there will be more. Unfortunately, at many sporting events, some people feel that the price of admission entitles them to not only litter the ice at hockey games with debris from time to time, causing injury, but also to interrupt play in football games, such as we're seeing tonight. Bobby Thompson is caught by Granny Liggins back at the 21-yard line. So we've had a few distractions tonight in this football game. Alan Ford's third down punt is taken by Jim Cilia back at the 45-yard line. 1 minute and 29 seconds remain till full time. Jim Duncan in his rookie year as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, watching these final seconds tick away to a runner-up finish in the Western Conference.
Seems appropriate at this time, Don, to offer our congratulations to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who obviously will now advance into the Grey Cup final, particularly Coach Keys and his staff, who've done such a tremendous job with this ball club, winning 13 football games in 1969 regular season.
Ted Woods hitting for the sidelines is knocked down by Henry Dorsch. The CBC will be your originating Grey Cup network. Don Chevrier will be your play-by-play commentator, with Ernie Afaganis your host, and Frank Rigney and Bernie Filoni will provide the expert analytical commentary. It will be the Saskatchewan Roughriders versus either Toronto or Ottawa, in color from the Autostade in Montreal. We're into the final minute now of this Western Conference final. Terry Evanson made the reception very near that first down marker and then was driven back. (36-13), Saskatchewan leads Calgary. On third down, the ball is deflected It goes as an incomplete pass, and the Roughriders take over for the final sequence of plays.
Well, we may well be seeing the last appearance of big Don Luzzy, number 62. We thought his injury was rather more severe than it was last week in the semifinal game against the BC Lions, but Don is closing out a 12-year career with these Calgary Stampeders and has been very much a part of their success over his career.
Randy Liggins catches Bob Thompson and drops him back at the 45 with 30 seconds still to play. We understand the Roughriders will be heading home immediately after the game, leaving Calgary about 12:30. So for the Saskatchewan fans who would like to greet their heroes at the airport, you can judge the arrival time accordingly. And Saskatchewan is called for too long in putting the ball in play. 8 seconds remain on the clock, and it's almost certain that the final play is coming up. In fact, we might not get that final play as the fans swarm out onto the field.
I don't think referee Paul Dojak has much choice here, Don. There's several hundred people on that field, and with only 8 seconds to go, there's no question of the game being in doubt.
And it appears to be something of a shambles down in the playing field at the moment. However, as yet, the gun has not sounded, and perhaps that's for obvious reasons. Paul Dojak has not yet been able to get over to the timekeeper's bench. Some of the fans are really becoming unruly as they move out onto the playing field and are interfering with not only the players but the officials as well. Jim Duncan, we see, has made his way onto the field. That's a pose he strikes most of the time. He's looking for Eagle Keys. Eagle, his head coach last year when the two of them were in Saskatchewan. This year, of course, Jim Duncan took over the head job with Calgary. The game obviously over as the players head to the exits, trying to work their way through the fans who poured onto the playing surface about 8 seconds too soon. And Saskatchewan will carry Western colors in the 1969 Grey Cup game in Montreal on the 30th of November, facing either the Toronto Argonauts or the Ottawa Roughriders, and the Argonauts go into Ottawa on Saturday afternoon, enjoying an 8-point advantage in their 2-game total point Eastern final. And so the game is over. The final score, Saskatchewan 36, Calgary 13, and we'll be back with our summary and statistics in just a moment.
Enjoy yourself, move with the 50 crew. Enjoy yourself, take 50 here with you. It makes no difference where you are or how you make your fun, so long as there's a 50 by Labatt's for everyone.
Only a 50 tastes as good as a 50, and you'll find 50 drinkers almost anywhere you care to look. They're Canada's enjoyment people, and most of all, they enjoy Labatt's 50.
Enjoy yourself, the 50 lamp is bright. Enjoy yourself, big 50's on tonight. Come join the crew, the growing 50 crowd. Avail yourself, regale yourself, requite yourself, tonight yourself, enjoy yourself, enjoy yourself. Take 5 for 50 ale. 50.
Well, it was 12-3 at the half with the Saskatchewan Roughriders leading, and when Calgary came back in the third quarter with a field goal by Larry Robinson to make it a 12-6 game, It appeared as though the Calgary Stampeders were going to make a ball game out of it, but then Bobby Thompson, on the play following the field goal, took the long throw from quarterback Ron Lancaster for 75 yards and a touchdown to make it 19-6. And then minutes later, Hugh Campbell scored another touchdown on the toss from Lancaster. It was 26-6, and that was about it. A field goal and then a George Reed touchdown. And a Ted Wood touchdown made it a final score of 36-13 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the Calgary Stampeders, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are Western champions for 1969 and now advance to the Grey Cup game in Montreal at the Autostade on November 30th. And the CBC television network will be your originating network for Canada's Football Classic. And now for wrap-up comments and observations, let's join Ernie and Frank.
All right, Don, and I suppose that when you check back through the records and you ask anyone which is the best team, the best answer we could give you is the one quoted last night by Eagle Keyes. When someone asked him that question, he says, well, we've beaten them 4 times already this season. That should mean something. And tonight was number 5 in a row this year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders over Calgary. It was a convincing victory, Frank Rigney, and you mentioned that possibly Calgary would have a little difficulty getting back up after giving it the best shot in the opening game, still losing. It was tough to come back and fight in that second game.
Yes, the Stampeders' effort last Saturday in the opening game of this series was an excellent one. They had every opportunity to win the football game and very nearly did. You have to give them a lot of credit. During the course of this 1969 season, they were only able to field the same team on 2 occasions out of 16 league games. So Coach Jim Duncan and his staff had quite a few injuries and problems to deal with. And of course, they came into the coaching job very late in the spring. So this is his first year to recruit.
We had, of course, some great highlights in the game, even though it was one-sided. We had some interesting touchdowns, especially those 2 in that third quarter, which broke the game wide open. Frank, here are some of the highlights.
Very little for the Calgary fans to cheer about tonight, but here's one thing. Larry Robinson kicks a 51-yard field goal to establish a new Stampeder club record for field goal lengths. However, one of the real key plays in this football game, and possibly the one that turned it around in Saskatchewan's favor, happened very early in the ball game as Jerry Keeling drops back and attempts to hit Bob McCarthy, but throws the ball short. It's intercepted by Dushinsky, who walks in with a very easy touchdown on the interception return.
That's always a dangerous pass pattern anyway, isn't it, Frank?
It certainly is. And here's the play that hurt Calgary so much in the first ball game, and of course George Reed hurts them in so many ways, but a screen pass early in this football game with 30 seconds left in the second quarter and led to another 3 points by Calgary. An excellent run here by Ted Woods, who was the outstanding rusher for the Calgary Stampeders tonight, but as you mentioned in the telecast, Ernie, it was just too little and too late for the Calgary Stampeders. A fellow that led the league all year in pass receptions, the Calgary Stampeder tight end, number 76, Herm Harrison, makes a great catch in the third quarter here. And he's a tough one to bring down, 6'4", 235 pounds. Watch this, though, as Calgary had just marched down to get a 3-pointer. The first play after the kickoff return, Ron Lancaster rears back and hits Bobby Thompson on a 75-yard TD pass and run play. And that really took the wind out of the Calgary Stampeders' sails. And old Hugh Campbell, who was open 3 different times in the Calgary end zone, finally caught one for a major score after having beat Frank Andruski 3 separate times. A little fellow that did a great job in the latter parts of this season for the Calgary Stampeders, and I'm sure he's going to be a very valuable football player for them in the future, the 22-year-old Czechoslovakian-born Rudy Linderman. This interception by Bruce Bennett was a great example of timing and great play by a defensive backfield who had their problems with Jerry Keeling in this series, but in any event came up with the big plays at the right time. The last play we're going to show you now is the last touchdown of the Calgary Stampeders in the 1969 season, and appropriately scored by Ted Woods, big number 32.
All right, Frank, looking at those statistics then, these are the final statistics. Calgary had 14 first downs to 19 for Saskatchewan. In rushing, about the same, 138 for Calgary, 139 for the Riders. and passing 192 for Calgary to 232 for Saskatchewan. Now, Calgary, with Keeling, attempted 25 and completed 14. Saskatchewan, with two quarterbacks in there part of the time. Lancaster went most of the way, completed 15 of 26, and that is a pretty good average for Ronnie Lancaster, who has been below the 50% mark in this series or in the playoffs so far. And in interceptions, Saskatchewan had 3. Looking at punts, 10 for Calgary for an average of 33, quite low for them. But Saskatchewan had a good day there. They punted 11 times for 44 yards on an average. And penalties, 2 for Calgary for 25 yards. Saskatchewan was penalized 5 times for a total of 40 yards. And those are the statistics of this final game in the West. And it has put Saskatchewan into the final against Toronto or Ottawa. Don, we saw some great running, and we also saw some fun in the last part of the ball game when it was all wrapped up by Saskatchewan.
Yes, and they've turned the lights off on the playing field at McMahon Stadium a few minutes earlier than they usually do. The fans poured onto the field, and the goalposts at the south end went down, and they're attempting to break them up. But for the life of me, I can't figure out what somebody does with a piece of a goalpost. And I hear a cheer down there in the darkness, and yes, the goalposts have also gone at the north end. And because there's no light on the playing field, of course, our cameras are unable to pick it up for you. But the fans poured onto the field. They weren't able to finish the game. And I guess that's one way of Calgary fans showing their frustration at the end of the year and the failure of the Stampeders to repeat as Western champion. But Saskatchewan is the Western champion for this year, and we offer our congratulations to Eagle Keys and his coaching staff and all members of the Rough Rider organization.
That is a pretty good ball club. Thank you very much, Don Whitman and Frank Rigney. And the final score here at McMahon Stadium was Saskatchewan 36, the Calgary Stampeders 13. We'd like to remind you of the next telecast of CFL action by the CBC will, of course, be the Grey Cup game, Sunday, November 30th, when Toronto or Ottawa meets the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the annual classic at the Autostade in Montreal. Before signing off, on behalf of our CBC telecasting team and production group in Western Canada, I'd like to acknowledge the wonderful cooperation of their very fine technical crews with whom we worked this fall in Vancouver, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Calgary. Their contribution to our CBC CFL telecast in 1969 were immeasurable, and we extend our sincere thanks to one and all. Now, on behalf of our sponsors and the CBC Television Network, this is Ernie Afghani's bidding you all a very pleasant good night from Calgary.
This portion of Canadian Professional Football brought to you by Labatt's Brewers of 50 Ale, Canada's fastest growing ale, and Labatt's Blue, the true blue lager beer. The best in Canadian football from the best in Canadian beer.